Reef DVM's coming at you today with an equine arena protection wall and rail. Our uses of this barn are going to be very versatile, and we may actually have the horses in it at periods of time. Obviously, we don't have any sand in yet, but I kind of wanted to show you what we're up to. We're taking 2x4s, we're marking out things, kind of planning where the rail will go here. We're using string lines and figuring out where we want to space the structural part of the wall, which is all going to be made out of 2x4s in between the 8-foot posts. We're laying out some 4x8 sheets of OSB board that's been sanded on one side. We've picked up a ton of 2x4s, literally just a pallet we threw on the truck so we could pick through it and get the ones that are straight that we'd like. And then, of course, we're investing in some screws, and that's probably the most important part. Instead of nails, we want to use screws. If this wall gets damaged, we want to be able to unscrew it, take off a piece, and be able to replace it. So we're using some really good grip-fast screws, certainly made for our screw guns and our impact drivers. The whole family's involved in this project. The kids love it. Everybody's helping out. They're hauling 2x4s over to the guys. The guys are putting up basically the 2x4s as a framing wall. We have it all marked out with strings, so it keeps it pretty level right now, considering the floor doesn't have any sand on it yet. There's no base basically to it. My wife's up top picking them out, so they make sure they're straight. And us guys are going around putting up the framing. This is a multi-purpose kind of wall. Certainly when we bring hay in here and we've got the equipment moving around, it's just one more layer of protection between us and the steel for punching through it and damaging things. And then, of course, on the opposite side of the coin, when you have the horses in here, if you decide to ride the rail around the inside circle, it makes it much safer that your boots and your spurs and your toes don't catch the edge of one of these massive posts, and certainly kind of pushes the horse a little bit more into the middle, which makes it a little easier to repair the footing and the groundwork. So we wanted to make sure it was level, so we took our time. My neighbor Chuck here helped us out a tremendous amount getting it up, but we worked our way around. We did about every, I think it's like 18 inches or something like that, because the 2x4s are wide, which is nice. And then we're going to basically screw the plywood up to it, and then we'll be done. All that'll be left is to bring the sand in. Oh, and put the gates up too. I'll show you that in a bit. We decided to buy some gates to protect the garage doors, the utility door, and so forth. So obviously, if you leave the animals in here or if you're riding, you don't have to worry about snagging one of those big doors and hurting yourself. So at this point, it looks a little bit of a mess, but part of the wall is up as we're going across with the plywood sheeting, or excuse me, OSB sheeting. It really went up very smooth, folks. 1.5 inch screws. On the one side where we added this addition to the original barn, we have a steel wall. We certainly don't want the animals coming in contact with the steel, so we dug 4-foot holes in the clay. We dropped 10-foot posts in. Certainly that was the easiest way of kind of pulling the wall forward versus taking off the steel and attaching it to the steel. Worked out great. Grabbed some Saccrete, poured it in down there to kind of firm everything up with some water, and then we just backfilled those holes, and then we built the same structure across those posts. Obviously, we used green treated posts in the exact same 2x4 structure that we had used on the rest of the barn to create the wall across the steel front. We left enough space behind the wall so that we can actually go back there and get things out if we need to. Also allows us, if we ever need to work on the steel a little easier. My wife and daughter went around with the screw gun, basically putting everything up with the screws. That made it, nice for us guys because we could focus on other parts of the project, such as the posts and the gates. We did sink some extra posts in for the gates. Wanted them just not to just attach to straight, OSB board. So we've got all the gates hanging off of the posts, which are all in the ground about 4 feet with concrete. Just makes it a little stronger. As far as the gates go, we certainly could have gone with the traditional bull gate. We decided not to do that. The traditional bull gate would have given us quite a bit of weight, and we really don't need the weight. These are just protective gates, so we went with aluminum gates. We'll see how this holds up. If they don't hold up enough and they bend all to pieces, well, then we'll go back to the steel bull gates. But when you're starting to do, 16-foot and 18-foot gates to get across these garage doors, if you put them in steel, they're awfully heavy. So we went with the aluminum ones. Again, we don't need them for, anything more than just kind of keeping the animals away from the actual structure of the doors. So We went with the lighter gates. We put one here in front of the utility door. As you can see there, I've got it just kind of swung open, and we're digging a hole there for where it's going to hit up against. When I swing this closed, you can see there'll be another post in there that'll eventually attach to, but then this will protect the door there. And then we've got a big 18-footer here on the big door right next to it, and that's coming along. Even in aluminum, these things are still quite a bit heavy, so we'll still probably add a utility wheel to them. So here they are with the utility wheel added to it. This utility wheel will just give us the ability to move these gates easier. It's spring loaded. You can buy these at any utility store for horse stuff. We happen to get these out of Fleet Farm. They work really nice. The wheels rotate around on like a little bearing pad, and they go right over the terrain pretty nicely. Just helps support the gate a little bit, give it a little bit less, torque on the hinge side of things. And then we're pretty much done. Finishing this up, we just attach the gates to the walls so they're kind of out of our way for most of the time. Uh, Backfilled, put some guards there on that gate there so when they accidentally open the door into it, it doesn't wreck the door. The large gate obviously is swung open right now. All the arena protective wall is up, so the rail is ready to use. The next video will probably show us bringing sand in and kind of finishing out the interior of this. Check out more of our videos if you like, our LED high bay lighting video that we made in this one. And you also can watch the time lapse of the barn going up too. I've got those both attached here. If you click on the upper corners, you can see those videos. Thank you for watching, folks. Appreciate you watching our videos. Like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you.